Good evening. It is Monday, November 25th, 2024. I am Daniela Edwin. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We are on Flow Channel 117, Kiss FM, the Caribbean Hot FM mobile app, and the Caribbean Hot 7 TV Facebook page. Not forgetting those of you using the Hot 7 plug and play antenna. Thank you so much for joining us. The wave of violence on the island shows no signs of abating, as Saint Lucia recorded another homicide on the evening of Sunday, November 24th, bringing the nation's troubling crime situation back into focus. Chrissy Bakey begins tonight's reporting.
The bloodshed continues as the island recorded another homicide on Sunday, November 24th, 2024. According to an official police report, officers attached to the Soufrière police station responded to a report of an unresponsive individual on Market Road, Soufrière at 11:30 p.m. Upon arrival, investigators discovered the lifeless body of a male with apparent gunshot wounds. Emergency personnel from the Saint Lucia Fire Service provided assistance and transported the victim to the Soufrière Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead by a medical practitioner. The deceased has been identified as Jeff Mitchell of Market Road, Soufrière. Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police for the Central Division, Luc De Freitas, stated that investigations into the incident remain in their preliminary stages and that he is unable to provide additional information at this time.
We are in the proceedings, so there is very little information that the police can release at this time. It has been confirmed that it may be gunshot injury, and investigations continue in this matter. Like I said, at a later date, as information unfolds, we will be in a better position to issue further releases. But this is as much as I can say for now on this matter.
De Freitas took the opportunity to solicit assistance from the public in solving this case, emphasizing the importance of community involvement in tackling crime.
As always, we always literally beg for the assistance of the public. I can say almost 80–90% of our successes are because of support from the public, and so we continue to always make that appeal to the public.
To address growing concern about witness confidentiality, De Freitas reassured the public that all tips are strictly anonymous and names are not disclosed under any circumstances. According to him, the RSLPF values the contributions of the public.
I think very importantly too, I need to confirm to the public that your information remains confidential, notwithstanding the many reports of persons who accuse the organization of putting the identification or the identities out there with reference to them giving information. I can tell you it is a situation that the Royal Saint Lucia Police Force takes very, very seriously. And again, if persons out there in the wider public believe that such a situation exists, there are persons whom you can call, and I am sure will offer the highest level of confidentiality in these matters. And let me again confirm to the public that we are very serious on keeping such matters of information from the public confidential. Feel free, feel relaxed to come in, call in, give the information. Like we've always said, there is the 555 crime hotline. There's also our crime app, and these are safe and secure, I can assure you.
Anyone with information about this incident is urged to contact the Soufrière police station at 456-3620 or provide anonymous tips by dialing 555. For the Hot 7 TV News, Chrissy Bakey reporting.
Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre has had enough of what he calls political propaganda spread by the opposition when it comes to the very serious issue of crime.
Following a heads of government meeting in Guyana, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre reported that the island of Saint Lucia has a pretty good handle of the crime situation compared to regional counterparts. This, he says, counteracts the allegations of the United Worker Party members who have publicly criticized the government's handling of crime.
So this is not unique, as Adam said, we're not comforting ourselves. But I was very pleased to know that Saint Lucia is very much advanced. And I'm not going to compare to other countries, so don't ask me. Saint Lucia is very much advanced in what we're doing here as it relates to the abatement of crime and violence. I was very pleased to hear what we've been doing here. But we have a lot more to do, and we continue to do a lot more. But I'm very concerned about the glorification of crime in certain sectors for political reasons. The opposition always seems to be happy when things do not go right as far as crime is concerned. There seems to be a joy, instead of condemning criminality and saying to criminals that they're on the wrong path.
In a more specific case, the first deputy leader, Guy Joseph, during an opposition live, had criticized the government on allocating funds to non-profit organizations, a comment that the Prime Minister takes exception to.
We worked with an NGO, give them $250,000 based on a budget to help in crime suppression in areas that were depressed, and the opposition lambasted it. The opposition, in their desperation, seemingly, and I make no bones about it, seemingly encourage crime, encourage criminality, encourage disorder for their own political motives. And I'm saying to the people of Saint Lucia, do not get themselves carried away by power-hungry people.
Pierre says the opposition has refused to understand that the island's citizens hold the right to elect and remove a government to represent their interests, and further added that the government will not be out of office in any rush, despite the calls from the opposition for the elections to be called.
I can assure you there are going to be no elections in Saint Lucia anytime soon. Elections are called by the Prime Minister. They've always been called by the Prime Minister, and they'll continue to be called by the Prime Minister. There will be no one will ever be able to say to the Prime Minister, it has never happened before, it won't happen now, when to call elections. The Prime Minister will call elections, and the Prime Minister will ensure that he follows the constitutional requirements for elections.
Reporting for the Hot 7 TV News, I am Jasmine Duncan.
Saint Lucia is stepping up its fight against gun violence with a new program to destroy seized firearms, ammunition, and explosives. The initiative is a collaboration between the government of Saint Lucia, CARICOM Impacts, and the UK-based Mines Advisory Group, and aims to enhance public safety and security while tackling the island's growing crime problem.
The government of Saint Lucia, in collaboration with the CARICOM Implementation Agency for Crime and Security, CARICOM Impacts, and the UK-based charity Mines Advisory Group, MAG, has launched a program to destroy seized firearms, ammunition, and explosives. The program follows the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between MAG and CARICOM Impacts to combat criminal activity and advance peace and security in the region. As part of this initiative, 18 officers from the Royal Saint Lucia Police Force were trained in weapons and ammunition management according to United Nations standards. The training provided to the officers will ensure they are sufficiently equipped to account for weapons in police storage. These officers will oversee the destruction of 333 firearms in the first phase of the program. Police weapons, unserviceable firearms, confiscated weapons, and firearms surrendered by families of deceased individuals were selected for destruction. MAG Technical Lead for Weapons and Ammunition Management in the Caribbean region, Chris Snaith, provided insight into the destruction process during a demonstration attended by officers, delegates, and the media on November 25, 2024.
What we're doing is we are destroying the ammunition. We're taking confiscated weapons, which have been kept in police custody for some time, and taking up a lot of time and effort looking after them. What we're going to do is we're going to destroy them. We're going to cut them up using some chop saws, and turn them into unusable scrap metal.
The MAG technical lead said with complete surety that after the weapons are sawed, it is impossible for the pieces to be used for the creation of a new firearm.
What we do is we teach the students to cut the weapons at strategic points on the weapon so that there is no possible way that the weapon can be welded or fixed back together again. And once we've cut it, normally into 3 parts for a long-barreled weapon or 2 parts for a handgun, once we have cut it apart, we then split the parts into 2 different containers, so you wouldn't be able to easily put the items together. But once they have been cut properly using a chop saw, the barrel, the breech, the working mechanisms are all completely unusable. Nobody, even if they had the technical skills and the equipment, nobody would reasonably try to put those back together again.
While developed countries may employ advanced methods, Snaith noted that the method of sawing firearms is the most practical for Saint Lucia.
Part of the process was when the weapons come out of the armory, they should be unloaded and cleared anyway. But the process is we will double check. First thing we do is make sure that the weapon is clear of all ammunition. Once it has gone through that clearance process, then we record the details and we hand it over to the cutting team. So there's no danger to the staff at any stage. We provide personal protection equipment such as goggles and gloves just to avoid shards of metal causing any cuts or injuries.
Snaith assured attendees that the process is safe as chambers are cleared before record keeping and destruction.
This is the only real way of doing it in the Caribbean region. If we were working some places in Europe or on the mainland of the United States, then you may be able to just melt the weapons straight away. But because you don't have the large-scale industry in the Caribbean, this is the best and safest way to put these weapons beyond use.
Snaith also indicated that the selection of weapons for destruction is court-ordered and thorough measures ensure that firearms tied to ongoing investigations are not destroyed.
The weapons will only come into this destruction process once we have had the authority of the courts and the judicial system to say they no longer need any more information. So all these weapons, if they've been involved in crimes, the cases have already gone through the courts. There is no forensic evidence involved at this stage. It's part of the process before we get the clearance to make sure that that is done before we start cutting them up.
Serial numbers are recorded and ballistic tests are conducted before the destruction process begins. This ensures that even after a firearm is destroyed, investigators can still match it to records in their database if needed for future cases. Currently, the record-keeping process is done manually on paper, but plans are underway to transition to a digital registry. The proposed system will map firearm ownership and track their status, whether licensed, destroyed, or unlicensed. Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police for the Central Division, Luke De Freitas, expressed gratitude to MAG, CARICOM Impacts, and other stakeholders for their support in addressing the island's crime challenges.
For me, it is a new area. I have not been exposed to any training on the destruction of weapons at any level. And so it is a very new area for me, and I would imagine for many of you gathered here today. In that regard, I cannot stress enough the appreciation of Commissioner of Police and the Royal Saint Lucia Police Force, like I said, for the timely intervention on such a matter. I understand as well that coming with the training, there is the allocation of some resources, I am told. And again, I need to thank all the agencies represented here today and responsible for such gratitude and assistance to the Royal Saint Lucia Police Force.
The weapons destroyed on Monday were collected over a period of 2 decades. The Royal Saint Lucia Police Force remains committed to working with these agencies to enhance public safety and security across the island. For the Hot 7 TV News, Chrissy Bakey reporting.
The morning of Monday, November 25th was an active one for the opposition United Workers' Party, who staged a protest and took their grievances directly to the steps of government buildings where Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre and his cabinet were meeting. Their protest was over concerns about the Citizenship by Investment program and other national issues.
Members and supporters of the opposition United Workers' Party staged a protest on Monday, November 25, 2024, outside of the Citizenship by Investment office. Dressed in orange, the crowd then moved to the government buildings where Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre and his cabinet colleagues were gathered for their weekly cabinet briefing. Public Relations Officer of the United Workers' Party, Leonard Spider Montoot, disclosed the key reasons behind the demonstration.
We are here to draw attention to some of the injustices that are happening in this country. If you think it's about time that we right the wrongs that are taking place, and in case you're wondering what I'm referring to specifically, we're talking about the 2.5% levy that was deceitfully imposed upon Saint Lucians, making life more difficult, causing higher inflation in this country. We are protesting the high price of gas at the pumps here in Saint Lucia, despite the fact that the price of gas has gone down on the international market. We are protesting the deals that are taking place where our patrimony is literally being sold to foreigners. We are concerned about the GPH deal that went down where our ports were sold to GPH for the next 40 years with an arrangement that our port in Pivot cannot be developed in those 40 years. We are also concerned about the healthcare system in Saint Lucia that has been described by the Saint Lucia Medical and Dental Association as the worst that it has ever been. We are concerned about the high crime situation where people are not just dying on the streets of Saint Lucia, but even in their homes. People are being killed. We have had consecutive years of over 70 homicides in this country, and nothing is being done, nothing tangible is being done by the government.
Montoot also stated that the CIP program remains an area of importance for the opposition, and as such, they had to voice their concerns about this as well.
We are also concerned about the level of corruption that is taking place in government, in particular in the CIP program, where we are seeing that billions of dollars are going to foreigners and no explanation, no answers to the questions as to what exactly is happening in that program. And we know that it is not because our government officials are dumb. We suspect and we believe that that is happening because people are benefiting from those deals that are taking place.
Montoot shared that in addition to the demonstration outside of the CIP unit, the opposition penned another letter to the Prime Minister to share their displeasure with the state of affairs of the country.
We have before appealed to the government, we have written to the government, we have done so once again. And now we are ready to take action, because if they cannot hear, they will feel.
The protest at the Prime Minister's office was brief, as officers from the Royal Saint Lucia Police Force intervened, citing the opposition's failure to obtain the necessary permissions to hold a demonstration. The chairman of the opposition United Workers' Party, Thorold Prudent, was dissatisfied with the actions of the law enforcers, defending their actions as simply delivering a letter.
We came here this morning to deliver a special letter to the Prime Minister and to his office, and we are not here to cause any disturbance, but somehow the Prime Minister's office called in the SSU saying that he's afraid, or they are afraid, of us being down here causing disturbances. This is a democratic country. It will continue to be a democratic country where the Saint Lucia Labour Party is here, because we as opposition have that right to continue to ensure that our rights are protected.
Despite leaving the government buildings, the protesters continued their demonstration, shifting their focus to closed health centers and hospitals.
Well, it is predictable. There is a health problem in this country. So, we will pass by the hospitals to see whether what we've been hearing, what we've been told is actually the case. The hospital is a polyclinic, and so it is not any organized protest. There are Saint Lucians who just cannot take anymore. They are feeling the pain, the squeeze, the suffering, and so they are willing to stand up. And if the government does not think that they should take us seriously, they will have to think again.
The UWP raised multiple grievances about the SLP administration. However, Just a day earlier, on September 24, 2024, the Saint Lucia Labour Party reaffirmed its confidence in Philip J. Pierre at their annual conference of delegates. Pierre received unanimous support with 260 votes of confidence and none against, marking the third consecutive year of 100% backing from the party. The Prime Minister has not responded to the letter, and at this time, it is unclear whether he will. For the Hot 7 TV News, Chrissy Bakey reporting.
Coming up next, police are experiencing major hiccups in the Derek Walcott Square shooting investigations. And the Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre says he has a zero tolerance for domestic violence against women. All that and much more coming up when we return.